Amphitheres are surprisingly easier to tame once you understand the mechanics to taming them. One of the main things that people suggest is to be in iron armor and to use a shield. However, if we set it up where we ground the Amphithere and remove any of the hostile targeting response aggro where it tries to attack you, as if you attacked it, then we'll only take the mechanic damage, and which in that case, shields and the Spartan weaponry damage absorption from sabers and rapiers, they don't affect this tame damage. So I could go on top of this, hold my shield, and I'm not blocking any damage from this really. Yeah, I'm not taking any durability on either my shield or my saber. And we're gonna compare the difference after I heal with the other bandage type from Rough Tweaks, because it heals faster. Oh, and armor does affect the taming damage you can take. So if you got leather, you can use leather. If you got chainmail, you can use chainmail. Iron was already suggested. Iron is perfectly good. But now we're going to compare if you stack hostile response aggro on top. I'm just going to punch it. And then once I get on, we'll start seeing that the shield and saber start taking durability damage because it's actually starting to block attacks, which are from the hostile aggro. Oh my god. Well, I got keep inventory on anyways. And I could just do it again. Yep, now shield blocked that shot, and we're also going to test it with the saber here. Yep, and see the saber took a tick of durability damage. This is now taking some durability damage, and this shield has taken some durability damage. So, if you de-aggro the hostile response, you can get rid of a large portion of potential damage you take from the Amphithere and only take the lesser taming damage, which if you got rough tweaks bandages, you could just heal off of no armor. But if you only got access to first aid bandages, which is only made out of wool and string, you should probably be wearing armor on your body to help resist the taming attack damage. While if you do have rough tweaks, if you are able to find aloe around or get healing salves from chests, you can only need 2. Then you can just walk up to an amphi and just tame it. It's similar where if Amphithere spawns on the ground, it'll be grounded and not aggro to you. So you could just walk up to a wild amphi that's like stuck on near the ground, take 2 bandages, no armor, no baubles, nothing, and just get on it and just heal away with rough tweaks bandages. Then you just tame it out here like this. Pretty easy, hard to mess up if you do it like this. If it's in the air, you can use a bow. You could throw other projectiles at it like snowballs. I threw eggs at it in one example. I have here a wooden spear from Better Survival, which is made out of sticks and wooden planks. And of course, you could just use a bow and arrow to drop the Amphithere down from the skies. And note, sometimes the Amphithere, it only gets into that grounded state if it gets damaged by a projectile while in the air. If, for whatever chance, the game didn't detect that, it might still be able to fly. In that case, just hit it, try and hit it again. So if you got eggs, shoot it with another egg. If you got if it's still flying after you hit it with a bow and arrow, hit it again with a bow and arrow. And that has a chance to almost guarantee that it grounds it instead of sometimes surviving in a state where the amphi can still fly after you hit it once. Once an amphi is sent into its grounded state from flying, it generally won't start flying again. So I have here a Amphi stuck on a lead, and I ground up like this. This Amphi can't really fly anymore, and so this makes it much more easier to try and just run up to it and then just right click it. Especially, oh, and it will also stay grounded, unable to fly even if you de-aggro it. So that's why in one of the examples, I just de-aggroed it and just walked up to it because it can't really fly anymore after it was made unable to fly. It's hard to tell sometimes because of the animations that the Amphithere has, like jumping up and going up blocks. But this generally shouldn't be ever flying. So looking back at the 2.9.2 change logs, the only thing about Amphis that was changed was the taming damage was changed to deal half a heart of damage to 1 heart of damage. So as you can see, when I was punching the Amphi, it instantly killed me from the head because that damage potentially does more than 3 hearts of damage. So that's quite a big difference if you do aggro the Amphi and it stacks its attack aggro with the taming damage. This section is now a follow-up to my last video about Hippogryphs. Now with this design that I use for the Amphis, it can also be used for Hippogryphs, but I want to shout out first Christian Cohort 6022 in the comments of that video, where they suggested using luck arrows, which have a built-in looting 3 effect, and you can't convert normal arrows into them. You have to craft them yourselves using emeralds, stick, and feather. And that with that built-in looting 3, it might help you roll rabbit's foot from your rabbits. Did I get any? I have no idea because I already was holding a staff. But get the built-in looting 3 of this luck arrow, and you can use luck arrow with any bow. And the looting 3 effect of the arrow only applies on kill, but since rabbits have so little HP, they're dying in 1 hit. So that means either of these work. Why did you do that? I guess the wool one doesn't work, or is more dangerous. We'll check that out real quick. So I don't know the conditions for when it'll jump out and fly. Like, oh, I guess the wool one will do that. Well, that tells me don't make this out of wool. But this still gives me a chance to show off a very important fact. That is, do not throw out your rabbit's foot by tossing it out of the inventory like that. I mean, I need to aim above so it goes over the trapdoor. I can still pick it back up. I need to throw it. Then I hear the eating. If you throw out your rabbit's foot like that, it'll never tame the hippogriff. So if I get more rabbit's foot, you need to toss it with your keybind to throw, which mine is Q. So I just toss it. That's 1. Toss it. That's 2. Toss it. That's 3. And this is tamed now. I could shift right click, see its inventory, but it's still aggro at me. So, to dirt. And just watch its animation go. That's it. Now we have a hippogriff that doesn't want to attack us that we can use as a flying mount, but it requires a saddle. Amphitheres don't need a saddle. You can start riding it immediately once you just right click it. So that should be about it. Both Amphitheres and Hippogryphs are incredibly strong early game mounts, especially if you have absolutely no equipment at all, because they are a really strong mount, especially when you have nothing. Thorns, your mount will take the thorns damage, or if it is revengeance, or it will take the reflection damage instead, and so it can tank that damage. And it auto regens like a horse too, or it could do dumb stuff like tower strats. This is on top of 2 dirt, and it is really good at mobbing these zombies. It'll be very good at mobbing slow melee mobs, ranged mobs that shoot projectiles. Of course, they can just aim and target you instead. And I'm gonna show off that you can kite with these two. Amphis are a little weird sometimes because they still have a villager defense mechanic, and they might try and aggro to zombies sometimes in case you're riding them out. I've seen that in this creative test a few times. You can somewhat fight against blights and infernals, but if they're too fast or have a ranged projectile effect, it can get really dangerous fast. But see, I can just do some basic kiting here against slow melee attacking mobs, and it does a lot of damage, and I'm with nothing. And so if you just like spawn in a jungle and mysterious and just like find a chest with like 2 bandages in it, you have the potential of easily just picking up a very strong early game mount. And that's this Amphi shown here. I'll show off that the Hippogryph can also deal really similar here. Need to get to it, of course. Hippogryph, of course, you need a saddle to use, but you could also put armor on it in case, so it'll take less damage. Did I glitch this thing? Yeah, I did. Switching game modes. I need to be in creative to spawn more zombies. And we still have the silly tower strats if we like tower strats. Tower strats works fine for Hippogryph. Hippogryph, unfortunately, when it attacks sometimes does this effect. And so, I guess it was able to, no, it hit one of the infernals maybe. If not, we can just still kite with it like normal here. Yeah, there is definitely a blight doing something, some kind of blight effect, but for the most part I'm in no armor, no baubles, and this Hippogryph with no armor, and just his base stats has been able to mob an ghastly blight there. No, that was an infernal. I always mix those 2 up. We'll see if it can mob a little more. Maybe we try tower strats. So tower strats looks completely, for the most part, fine. I hit something that poisoned this Hippogryph. I'm just standing here. As you can see, I can look down and see the stats of my Hippogryph. It's on 2 HP right now. And of course, just fly away if we're in danger. Amphis, they can't fly directly up. That is a fast zombie. They can't fly directly up. So instead, you can just use the speed of the ground speed Amphi and just run away with it like that.